Merry Christmas, YouTube. So I gotta admit the truth on this one. This list is very similar to Watch Mojo, albeit in a different order. But the best Christmas movies remain the best over time by anyone you ask. For the sake of making something different from the other videos on this subject, this includes little known trivia about the movies. Let's get started before I get a cease and desist order. Number 10, The Santa Claus. Tim Allen plays Scott Calvin, an absentee father and workaholic. When he kills Santa Claus, same initials, he is forced by the fine print in a legally binding contract to take over Kris Kringle's responsibilities. Great Christmas movie, even though they cast the grumpiest man in Hollywood to play Santa. But I guess that's the whole point. Not sure what he had to be mad about. When the movie came out, it was number one. Also number one was his show Home Improvement, as well as his book, Don't Stand Too Close to a Naked Man. Disney has a strict policy of not hiring felons, but they made an exception in his case. Probably why he doesn't think the rules apply to him. You know, I've been around Tim Allen several times, and he always has a bug up his ass about something. He should be grateful the people he narked on never tracked him down. Number 9, Trading Places. This is the only R-rated film on our list, and believe me, it earned its rating.
You know who you fucking with? Do you know who you fucking with? Ah, back the fuck up. Back up. You know who you fucking with? It's cell number 4 on the 9th floor.
Getting arrested after a simple misunderstanding, two rich old farts decide to do what they do best, play games with other people's lives. They have their sights set on the impoverished Billy Ray Valentine and filthy rich Louis Winthorpe III. They believe they can make a prince out of Billy and a pauper out of Louis. Even worse, they end up being right. Once the two lab rats discover this, they hatch a plan together to bankrupt the plotting senior citizens. In the early stages, Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor were intended to play these roles. In fact, director John Landis had a lot of convincing to do to get Jamie Lee Curtis cast in this comedy, as she had only done horror films up to that point. Number 8, Elf. This one is so money. And I'm not just saying that because it was directed by the guy who wrote Swingers, Jon Favreau. Will Ferrell shines as Buddy, an elf who discovers that he's really a human. He tracks down his biological father, Sonny Corleone himself, only to send his life into total upheaval. During production, Ferrell often complained of headaches as his character consumes copious amounts of sugar. In the scene when he ate the maple-infused spaghetti, he threw up on the first take. And the cotton he devours in the doctor's office was undyed cotton candy. Number 7, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. The only live-action iteration, this comedy from the year 2000 is full of laughs and cries. Starring the always hilarious Jim Carrey, it was one of the more difficult roles he had to play. The thick prosthetic covered his entire face, giving Carrey an overwhelming feeling of claustrophobia. He was about to quit the movie due to this discomfort. Director Ron Howard offered to help, donning the full makeup and costume during one day of filming. Finally, a CIA operative specialized in torture resistance techniques counseled Carrey in wearing such an uncomfortable mask for 8 to 10 hours a day for 92 days. No doubt Carrey was looking forward to the impending doom of the Y2K scare. Number 6, Miracle on 34th Street. One of 4 versions, this original from 1947 is indeed a classic. The story starts off Thanksgiving Day in New York City as the Macy's Day Parade unfolds. Production filmed during the actual parade, which made it difficult to get everything they needed as the parade went on with or without them. Santa Claus is on trial. He insists he's the real deal. But can it be proven? I know in movies you're supposed to suspend disbelief, but it seems, to me at least, if they kept Kris Kringle locked up Christmas Day, they would surely get their answer. But they give him the benefit of the doubt and dismiss his case for no better reason than not knowing how to end the movie. It contains more movie logic than real logic, but I guess that's to be expected in a world where Santa Claus does actually exist. Number 5, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. This sequel, made 2 years after the original, yet 4 years after the events of the first film, reunites us with the McAllister family. Now 12 years old, Kevin is older and wiser. But for the sake of a sequel, everyone else is acting exactly the same, resulting in Kevin once again denouncing his family and wishing to be left alone for the holidays. After Buzz embarrasses him at the Christmas recital, Kevin pushes him, a reasonable reaction that also starts a chain reaction, ruining the performance. Kevin's family is pit against him despite witnessing Buzz start the confrontation. After boarding the wrong flight, Kevin ends up in New York, not Florida. Also in New York are the Wet Bandits, who run into Kevin in the most highly foot-trafficked area of Manhattan. Kevin visits his Uncle Rob, who isn't there but his house is, so he uses this as his base to once again torture the two bumbling criminals. Often viewed as a carbon copy of the first movie, the traps are more intense, but the acting leaves something to be desired.
Fine, I don't want to be down there anyway. I can't trust anybody in this family. And you know what? If I had my own money, I'd go on my own vacation, alone, without any of you guys, and I'd had the most fun in my whole life.
Wow. Not sure they got their $4.5 million's worth. The film had to be shortened for the television broadcast as it was exactly 2 hours. After the World Trade Center attack, the scene of Kevin taking photos from the roof of the North Tower was removed from the televised version. Number 4, Christmas Vacation. I guess a more appropriate title would have been Christmas Staycation, as everyone in the family comes to them, not the other way around. Clark Griswold wants the best for his family, and this includes hand-picking a tree from a farm instead of getting overcharged at a lot. He forgets his saw, so besides the roots of his family, he also totes home the roots of the tree. After putting up 250,000 lights on his house, not one lights up, forcing him to retest every individual bulb. Once he finally gets the house illuminated, his overwhelming sense of pride is overshadowed by an unexpected visit from Cousin Eddie and family. After overcooking the turkey and burning the tree, Clark is on tilt status until his much overdue Christmas bonus check finally arrives in the mail. He opens it only to discover his boss discontinued bonuses and instead enrolls him in a Jelly of the Month club. At the end of his rope, he spouts off a tapestry of obscenities, threatening his boss, and dim-witted Eddie takes him seriously. As a thank you for letting him and his RV crash in his suburban neighborhood, he tracks down Clark's boss and brings him to the Griswold home to explain himself. The police intervene, the boss apologizes, and even gives Clark a bonus 10% greater than that of the previous year. Chris Columbus was all set to direct this film, but hated the idea of working with Chevy Chase. Shortly after, he was sent the script to Home Alone and directed that instead. Speaking of which, number 3, Home Alone. The McAllisters are planning a trip to Paris for Christmas. Sacre bleu! After Buzz consumes Kevin's only plain cheese pizza, he retaliates by shoving him in the stomach.
Well, yeah, we did. But if you want any, somebody's gonna have to barf it all up, because it's gone.
I guess Kevin was prepared to take him up on it. After being blamed for ruining dinner, he is sent up to the attic to later be joined in bed by Fuller, a known bedwetter. Kevin, not wanting to succumb to R. Kelly-type treatment,
He'll pee all over me. I know it.
insists he would rather sleep by himself and as a result is left, you guessed it, home alone. He ends up saving all of his family's possessions as the wet bandits have every intention of robbing their home while they are away on vacation. I bet that insurance check would have been pretty sweet though. John Candy improvised all of his dialogue, something very common in John Hughes productions. Macaulay also ad-libbed the famous line, "You guys give up or are you thirsty for more?" Pretty good for a 10-year-old. Number 2, A Christmas Story. This adaptation is from the 1966 novel In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash by Gene Shepard, who also narrates the film as well as has a cameo when Ralphie and Randy wait in line to see Santa. More than anything, Ralphie wants a BB gun. His mother refuses to buy one, fearing he will shoot his eye out. He realizes his only option is to ask Santa Claus himself, who tells him the same thing. Dejected, he comes to the realization he will never get his gun. He opens all his presents Christmas morning, but does not bear arms. When asked by his father if he got everything he wanted, he replies, almost everything. His father then notices an unopened gift and insists Ralphie investigate. He opens the package to reveal his most beloved Christmas gift he would ever receive, an official Red Ryder carbine action 200-shot range model air rifle. His father is hard as nails pretty much the entire film, but in this moment we see just how happy he is to make his son happy. The movie ends with a very funny, albeit racist cover of Deck the Halls that puts William Hung to shame.
You're playing games and now you're hitting my heart like a drum. Yeah, baby. She bangs, she bangs. Oh, baby, when she moves, she moves. I go crazy cause she looks like a flower, but she stings like a bee, like every girl.
Thank you.
Number 1, It's a Wonderful Life. The biggest tearjerker on our list, it tells the story of George Bailey, a lifelong resident of the fictitious Bedford Falls. When his father suddenly passes away, he has no choice but to take over the family business, a faltering building and loan. When his Uncle Billy loses $8,000 of the business's much-needed money, George panics and even contemplates suicide as he figures he is worth more dead than alive. This was before insurance companies stopped paying out claims as a result of suicide. Clarence, George's guardian, albeit unwinged angel, is sent to cheer up the bummed-out banker. After wishing he had never been born, Clarence shows him just how horrible the lives of others would have been without him.
You see, George, you really had a wonderful life. Don't you see what a mistake it would be to throw it away?
He begs for his old life, which now doesn't seem so bad by comparison. The snow begins to fall, washing away the world that didn't include him. He revels in this and his misfortunes until the most amazing thing happens.
Now you stand right over here by the tree. Right there, and don't move. Don't move. I can't move. Wow. I hear them coming now. George, it's a miracle. It's a miracle.
Isn't it wonderful? So many times. Mary did it, George. Mary did it. She told some people you were in trouble with it. They scattered all over town collecting money. Didn't ask any questions. Just said, George in trouble. Tell me.
Quentin Tarantino's theater, the New Beverly, used to show this every year on Christmas Eve as a double billing along with The Christmas Story. This was the first time I saw the movie with an audience, and there was nary a dry eye in the crowd. My holiday favorite, as well as a palpable source of inspiration for those who need to be inspired. Jimmy Stewart almost didn't take the part, as he had just returned home from World War II and, according to him, was not up for it. The best Christmas movie on our list, only a third of it actually takes place during Christmas. Oh well. Happy holidays.